Well, welcome everybody. This is Kevin Wilkie, co-founder of Water Restoration Marketing, and I have Matt Byers here, and we're doing this interview to have him share some of the lessons that he's learned over his long history as the water restoration industry on how to effectively answer the phone and turn into appointments that turn into jobs. And I guess to kick things off, Matt, could you give a little background of your history in this industry?
Sure, Kevin. Thanks for inviting me for this as well. My name is Matthew Byers. I am a co-founder of Encompass Contracting Mitigation Company. Myself and my partner, Ken Reagan, have been in the industry collectively about 27 years, myself 7. We've trained well over 100 restoration companies throughout the United States in marketing and also, as well as paperwork, things of that nature, as on site. So in return, we're very well versed in the marketing side of things. That was my forte. Opened up and started my own 3 different restoration companies in the last 3 years, and turned them over to the partners and continue to work forward, moving forward with success. In return, marketing is very difficult for restoration companies, and I noticed that my outside of the box thinking was a benefit because a lot of people don't like chasing plumbers anymore. So in return, with the background that we have with the mitigation, licensing and everything of that nature, it turns out that, it's about what you know and also about who you know. And once you get to know those people and you don't have to recreate the wheel, find out what's working for others. And if it works for others, if you're not changing something, it's going to work for you.
And one thing that had me want to do this interview with you is first month out of the gate working with us, you booked over $30,000 in
36,722.
So that's a awesome results, kind of results everybody would want. And a big part of that is you just are very effective at answering the phone and turning that into business. So let's dig into like what you've learned over your vast history of sales and doing in this industry. So first off, let's get into the mindset of the caller, so that way everything that you do makes sense, because it's totally to speak to what's going on with them. So what's that mindset of the caller when they're calling you?
Well, let's just say frantic, to say the least. Frantic, disenchanted would be almost a better statement. They are, regardless of, and I think, Kevin, I spoke with you about this, regardless if it's an older lady that had an ice cube fall out of an ice cube tray in front of her refrigerator and thinks that she has a flood, to the capacity of a full-on Cat 3 or Cat 3 flood in the home, a blockage from a sewage line, whatever it may be. You have to understand that this is the end of the world for them, and you have to give that empathy right away. The simple fact of understanding their situation, knowing regardless if we do this day in and day out, that they don't. So we have to give them some sort of guarantee that we can help them and we can understand we have to have empathy for them, put it that way. Let's go with that.
Yeah. And it all starts first with how you answer the phone. So how do you start off the phone call?
Well, let's digress 1 second more. First, you got to know you're live. That's a big plus, to know that you're live and to know that you are going to be receiving phone calls here shortly, and hope for the best, like tomorrow, the next day, whatever. But the one thing is, you need to have a dedicated phone line. You can't be utilizing your personal phone with the phone number that is associated with your landing pages. Otherwise, your mom calls and it's a different concept than if a client calls. So the first concept to it is, 1, make sure in your first 2 seconds that you explain to them that you're a mitigation company, that you are a company that goes ahead and does what they need help with. From that point on, then you try to start to figure out what is going on, what is the situation at the house, and ask specific questions that determine whether or not you can dictate on how to help them, if you can help them, or if they need your help.
Yeah. So when you get set up with us, we have specific call numbers that go directly to you, so you know exactly if it's coming from this, that it's a live call from somebody that has an emergency need. And then you say, hey, this is Matt Byers with Encompass Water Mitigation, and then you get into asking questions. And like, what do you want to accomplish with the questions that you're asking?
That's a very good question. First off, if you want to find out what the heck is going on, we actually kind of converted our name because we are Encompass Contracting Group. So we actually, when we take our calls now, as Encompass Contracting and Mitigation Department, may I help you? As that progressed, that helped us out considerably because we kept getting click, hang up, wrong phone number. The questions that we're asking, what is the cause of the loss? Do you know what's caused this problem? Where is it located? Are you on is it a 1-level home or is it a 2-level home? Ask if there's ponding water. Is there standing water? Is the water, you want to know where the water came from, because you got to find out what kind of category water it is that you're dealing with in order to prepare your technicians for what they're about to go into. As well as have enough equipment on your truck and know which dispatch, which trucks to dispatch, whether it be the box trucks or whether it be your little trucks, depending. Now, homeowners, again, like I said, will take a little bit of water that's on the floor and turn it into, I have a pond in my living room. And then you get there and it's a different story. So what you're trying to do is read through their emotions and get to the facts of the problem.
Yeah. So like, is it standing water still flowing? Is it a single or 2-story? Like, how long ago
how long ago did this happen? How did you come across this? What seems to be the signs? What is it that you're most worried about? But to me, to be honest with you, it's really honestly asking the proper questions that are in our industry to let them know that you know what you're talking about. Yeah. Because if you just say, okay, I'll be there in 5 minutes, well, guess what? You don't know what you're running into. And I'm former military. I kind of want to be prepared and have the right weapon and have the right gear in order to go into the desert or go into a tundra. It's the same concept.
Yeah. And when you ask these questions, as you told me, it eases their mind. Lets them know that you are a professional and you know what you're doing and you're looking out for their best interest because you're figuring out what's actually going on. And it gives you an idea of the situation that you're going into.
As well as it's calming, some people have a calming voice on the phone. And it might not be the best time, but it works for me. Sometimes I do everything I possibly can to try to get them to smile at one point in time in that first 35 or 45-second call. Yeah. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to meet you well, not really. I hate that fact that you have to get to meet me, but I'm glad that I'm here to help you. People get, when you ease their mind a little bit and give them a little bit of laughter, it brings so much release to them, and it starts to give right off the bat. It gives you that validation and the fact that you're looking out for them. You're not just trying to make $1 off them, which of course, inevitably, if you do your job the correct way, you get both,
Yeah. Some others that I've heard you use is like how many rooms are affected, or like what rooms are affected.
Yeah, absolutely. Where did this problem start from? Did it start in your laundry room, or was it in your upstairs bathroom? Okay, did it flow into the hallway? How many rooms are affected of this situation? Is there ponding water? Is there standing water? Has the problem been resolved? Do you need me to send out one of our trade partners in order to help stop the problem, stop the bleeding? If you offer those, because a homeowner doesn't know a licensed contractor, doesn't know a plumber off the top of their head, doesn't know people right away that they can get Johnny on the spot. Say this happened Sunday at 10 p.m. at night. Well, they're not getting a plumber on the phone. I am, but they're not. And they don't know which way to go. So if you help them and give them the direction that doesn't involve your portion of the business, then you're doing something that's benefiting the client.
Yeah. Another thing that you said is you want to know, like, do they own the property, or is it they like a landlord or tenant? And
yes. Yeah, absolutely. When you get into a landlord-tenant situation, it's a very crucial situation. 1, you need to know who you're talking to. 2, you need to know who's paying the bill. 3, you need to know who's signing the contracts. But 4, you also need to know who you are sharing information with, because there is a bond between a mitigation contractor or a mitigation specialist, however you want to call us, and the property manager. because that property manager might not want you to disclose everything to the tenant in order to scare the heck out of them, because they could utilize that against them. So in return, if you want to keep that relationship with that property manager, or build one for the future, which you expect every time, you use discretion in who you speak with.
All right. And then the goal from the questions you're asking goes back to that empathy of like, they get to be reassured that you're going to help them, and that you understand that this is an overwhelming situation for them, but you also like handle this every day, and you got their back.
Right. I utilize a phrase most of the time. This is my job. I understand we do this on a daily basis. I understand what you're going through. Don't worry about it. I carry a very big backpack. Let me take your problems, throw it in my backpack, and put it on my shoulders, and I'll run with it and take care of you. And that gets them to start to think a little differently outside the box. And you could start to finally calm them down and really, truly get to the source of the problem. But you also, like I said, again, all these questions are for three reasons, and three reasons only. One, you want the client, obviously. Two, you want them to be some sort of comfortable with you getting there. And three, you need to know what you're stepping into. You need to be prepared. You need to have, a flood hog. You need to have an extraction machine if there's ponding water. You can't show up there with a shop vac and there's 10,000 gallons of water on the floor. It's happened, in this industry, people used to use shop vacs all the time. Not anymore. It doesn't happen that way. So you got to know what you're walking yourself into, or else you're just going to cause an additional problem in the end. When you come prepared, you gain validation. And
also, it ensures that you get this job, and they don't keep calling other people. Like they have multiple opportunities on who they can call online. So you need to answer the phone effectively so they stop calling other people.
Well, that as well, in the first 35 seconds, 40 seconds, get the address. Where are you located? Great. Is this the best callback number for you? Awesome. So now, yes. Back to the old sales techniques, get them to say yes, and then give them a smile. Let them know that, we're on the case. We're going to give you a contact call back here in the next 5 minutes with an estimated time of arrival from one of my technicians. You'll receive a text message from the technician explaining who he is, his phone number. We'll even send you a picture of the technician so that who's showing up at your home at 10 o'clock at night or 11 o'clock at night. That way, they feel as if, one, you're a well-oiled machine. You've done this before. You've got everything in place, and you call them back to confirm, the timetable, and you've already got them. Now they're not going anywhere else.
Yeah, like I've heard you kind of wrap up the conversation is, I'm going to get a hold of my dispatch and get you an ETA in the next 5 minutes. And then you ask the 3 yes questions. Where are you located? Are you available right now? What's your phone number? And then you give them clarity on what's going to, like you said, what's going to happen next. This is what you can expect.
Yep, exactly. Sometimes, you have a situation where you have like what I had with 3 sleeping children. Hey, I just walked into my house is flooding, but I've got 3 sleeping kids. I don't know what to do. And you have to have empathy for that. So you understand, okay, let me get out there. Let me stop the bleeding and do the best that I can without waking your children up. Or does tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. work better for you if you have already done, these specific things? And then you give them some sort of insight. Hey, listen, if you got to shop back, start shop backing it up. Get your rugs up. Get them outside the house. Do the bare minimums and let me finish. Let me get there in the morning time if tonight's not working well for you. But you really don't want to give them the opportunity to say, oh, tomorrow's better, because like you said, wifey's hunting and pecking on the internet, going, hey, let's get this guy. Let's call these people up too tomorrow morning and make sure. You lose jobs that way. Get the job, get there, and get in front of them. That's the key.
So let's look at some of the common questions or objections that would come up on the phone call. So one of
go ahead, please.
Well, what would you say some of the most common ones that you experience are?
How much is this going to cost me?
Yeah.
I love that question. I absolutely love it, because I have the best retort. I have the best retort to it, if that's the verbiage that needs to be used. I say, the best thing about it, I'm free. Isn't that awesome? I was like, believe it or not, with everything, all the stuff that I've done to get my certifications, I am free to you. It's free for me to come out there and assess your situation, know what's going on, help you through the insurance process if it is an insurance claim. And that's another thing. That's a question that should come up in our question and answer. You know, is this going to be, are you going to be going through your insurance on this, or is this something that you're going to be taking care of yourself? Because if it's a multi-million-dollar house, their deductibles possibly could be $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, and your bill's not going to be that high. So you can assess that and prepare yourself accordingly for it. But you know, how much is it going to cost? How long is this going to take? I unfortunately don't know the answer to that question. Nobody does. I mean, I state that, listen, we're going to do everything that we can to get you to pre-loss condition as fast as possible. We'll get you back in your house as fast as possible. It's all relative on what moving parts, and we have everything in line. We're a one-stop shop. You don't have to worry about it. We will help you through the process from beginning to end, including meeting with your insurance adjuster, helping you explain to the insurance adjuster on a mitigation expert side of the matter, not a public adjusting side of the matter, but on mitigation, how and what happened, so that the weight stays off you and you can concentrate and focus on your life, because you still have a life to live. This is my job. So again, let it go in my backpack and I'll handle it from here.
Yeah. So each time around, like, you address what they say and then quickly spin it back to their situation and how you're going to help them with their situation, and then ask a question about the situation.
Yep.
So on the price, you like point out, like, you're free. Like, it doesn't cost me anything to come out and assess what's going on and give you like an expert opinion.
Yep.
What if they push back and still want an estimate after you use that rebuttal?
Again, once again, then you could start asking more and more technical questions that they cannot answer. You know, as far as, what category of water is it? What? Okay. Did it come out of the clean supply line, or did it come out of the drain? You know, things of that nature, because you need to get to the root of the problem in order to figure out how much it's going to cost. Category 2 water is a lot different than Cat 3 water or dirty water. And in those questions, you return back to, oh, I'm sorry, you asked me how much this is going to cost. Until I come out there and give and put eyes on the situation, I can tell you the distance in right field of Wrigley. I'm saying Wrigley for a reason, right field of Wrigley Park. But I honestly, I can't give you an answer. And the best part about it is, if we are dealing with your insurance carrier, you don't have to worry about your bill from me. I bill the insurance carrier directly. You never have to see a bill from me. You don't ever have to worry about anything of that nature. We do everything, and we deal with the insurance carrier ourselves.
All right. Oh, another one that I know comes up is, like, they might say, like, I want to wait until I talk to my insurance company. Or what if it doesn't cover this? My insurance doesn't cover this.
Well, the benefit of that is, one, again, I'm not a public adjuster, but I've been in the industry quite some time. I know what to look for on a policy. You can ask the homeowner, do you have an HO3 policy? Does it include water? Well, then if this is a sudden and accidental cause of loss, then you can go ahead and ask that question. Or you can go ahead and assume that you're going to be covered. But we could take a look at your policy. Please have you, and that's another thing that we have in our notes is, please have your policy ready for us when we get there. So that way we can review it from our side of it and make sure that we're covered. But my job here as the partner and the managing partner per se is to see if we have a viable claim or not. If we do have a viable claim, again, my cost is nothing to you. If we don't have a viable claim, let me approach with a concrete and subjective eyes on what the value of this loss is going to cost you. Right now, I can't tell you. I can't tell you a price. What's the average mitigation cost of water damage these days? $3,500 to $10,000. How about that? You know, and it could go over. But in return, I don't get much kickback on how much is this going to cost, because I just tell them I'm free.
Yeah.
And they go, how does that happen? You know.
And then they ask, like, how fast can you get there? How do you handle it?
Within an hour. Always within an hour. I don't care if I'm an hour and 45 minutes away. I'll be there within an hour. You know, generally we're there beforehand, but you know, I say within 45 minutes to an hour, we'll be there to help mitigate your problem.
Okay. And another thing, if they're a cash customer, what do you tell them on how you're going to handle if they're like a cash customer?
Well, I don't find out generally that they're a cash customer until we get to the loss. And
Okay.
at the loss, we take our measurements. We do a square footage concept. We basically utilize the same program that the insurance carriers utilize, which is Xactimate. And we let them know that, being that you're a cash customer, we're going to give you a discounted rate, paying cash, because obviously we'd love to have the cash now instead of waiting for the insurance carriers to pay us out. So we discount it that way accordingly. So we often just put it into an Xactimate and then take a discounted rate from there. And we go either in thirds or half down, half on completion.
Yeah, so it gives them makes them feel like they're getting a great deal. Like you're not going to overcharge them.
As well as we drop equipment, or we'll extract water, and we won't even charge for that until because we haven't negotiated the cost yet. We'll do that as a courtesy and it gets us basically to spike the job. I'll bring in equipment and say, listen, as far as the cash price is concerned, let's get over that. Let me just go ahead and stop the problem first, and let me get up and start, securing your home from any future damage. And then we'll talk about the dollar amount. It doesn't cost me anything. I'm already there. It doesn't cost me anything to suck up some water and get it out of there. But it's a good faith gesture. If and so to the next, we put the equipment, say it happens at 11 o'clock at night. Well, we'll put the equipment in there until the next day, go back, assess, and then work over the pricing with the client. That one shows that we have a vested interest in them and to take care of their problem, not wait there and hold their house hostage for them to agree to a pricing. It's just something that has worked for us. Can't tell you it's going to work for everybody, because not everybody's in a wonderful world of Orlando, Florida. I say that jokingly. Nothing against Orlando. Love you guys. But in return, we're there to help. And they need to know that. And you convey that in your verbiage. You need to convey that in your professionalism. You need to convey that in the type of people that you hire. And you need to convey that and put your money where your mouth is. And I think I say that about you guys. Listen, you're saying, hey, if you don't get a job in the first month, then we're not going to charge you for that first month. Well, shucks, if I didn't get 6 jobs, because I was really hoping for a free thing, but I got it anyway. Well, you know what, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, we're gonna go ahead and preserve the integrity of your home, because that's what you have to do as a homeowner for the insurance carrier. And then tomorrow, or let's assess how much we're going to charge after that. Let me just get this stabilized real quick. And homeowners are pretty quick to jump on it.
Yeah, and we're going to give some of your call recordings that people can listen to, so they hear all this in practice.
Sure.
There's a couple key points that I want to touch on. Like, one thing you've told me before is you definitely don't want to go above their head with industry lingo.
Right. Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keep it simple, stupid. Categories of water. They don't understand that. Did it come out of your sink, or did it come out of the pooper? Is it coming from underneath the toilet, or is it coming out from the shower? And most of the time people don't know. A lot of the calls that I've gotten have been emergency calls, yes, but as well as 50% of them probably, have been, I've got this seepage coming in from this one. I don't know what's going on. And we utilize thermal imaging cameras. We utilize the top technology in order to find and figure out sources of leaks. I have a background in plumbing, so I'm dangerous. I know enough to be dangerous about that. But we also have a network of time-tested trade partners that we can help. Will help the client with. So again, sometimes clients don't have any idea, and you just got to be a human being to them, as someone that they feel really does care about your job and cares about their making their home happy.
And you have your one of your key phrases is I take your problems and put them in my backpack. Could you just kind of run through that right now of how what you say?
Sure. Basically I'll get a call. I don't know what's going on. I've got water in my bathroom. I've got water here. I've got my family coming in town. Well, let's just take an example. I have an 8-month pregnant wife. She's highly allergic to microbial growth. I just had double ACL and MCL surgery. I'm in Miami right now. I'm not even there, and I got a call from the police department telling me that there's water coming out of my garage and my front door. Well, from a mitigation expert's perspective, that's foaming at the mouth, like salivating. You know, you're like, wow, this is awesome. But in return to the homeowner, they're going, oh my God, my life is ending. My life is ending right now. Listen, calm down, relax. Is there a way I can get into the home? Yes, my next door neighbor. Can you give me his contact information? You sit back, you relax. You got a lot of things working on right now. Let me take this and let me go ahead and put it on my shoulders. I'll put it in my backpack, and I'll take it and I'll run with it so that you can go ahead and work on your daily activities. And then I'll give you a breakdown when you're able to get it taken care of.
Yeah, another well, there's a couple of keys to like your success. One, you have a calm voice because they have an emergency need, but also you make sure that you control the situation.
You have to.
Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah. Well, take an everyday call. I've got water. Great. That's pretty much where they stop. You know, it's like, okay. So then therefore, you know, you go through your steady set of questions and you lead them in the proper direction of which, you know, what and how we need to get this taken care of. But you also just continue to roll through the process of what's going to happen next. And by you controlling that situation with your process, ma'am, sir, I'm going to give you a contact call back here in the next 5 minutes with my dispatch. My technicians is going to be dispatched out, so down the line. By you controlling those factors, asking those specific questions, they give control over to you. When you get to the home, the next step is when you get to the home, impress them, put your booties on.
Let's jump into now. You booked that time to go out and see them. Like, how do you handle the job site so you get the actual business?
We've never really had too much of an issue once we get called out there, and that's probably because one, my technicians have their shirts tucked in. They dress the same. We all look the part. I generally show up on the initial of most of my job sites because we are a small company. Not gonna try to tell you that we're a ginormous company. That's not the case. But when we get there, we ring the doorbell and we wait, and there's a purpose for waiting. And as soon as we hear the door start jiggling, everybody's putting their booties on. Okay, we walk in with thermal imaging cameras. We walk in with moisture meters. We walk in and we take very delicate care of the home. We don't bump our tool belt or whatever it may be into their stuff. We knock on the door before we ask if we can enter the room before we go in. The homeowner is right behind you. You know, don't open a cabinet until you ask the homeowner if you can open that said cabinet, you know? But then after you assess it.
Well, real quick, like starting back with like putting the booties on when they're opening the door, like why do you do that?
It's a perception thing. One, you don't want to bring your last job to the new job. Two, it's a respect category. Three, it's also religious, believe it or not. A lot of people don't allow shoes upstairs in their homes for specific reasons, different religious factions. So I'm not taking my shoes off while I'm walking through, you know, whatever muck may be or whatever's left over there. So my booties are kind of a concession in that aspect. I learned that the hard way a long time ago by a client who wouldn't let me upstairs without my shoes on, without my shoes off. And I stepped on some tack strip because he pulled the carpet up, and that hurts. And I think everybody here has done it before and moved on and whatever it may be. But it's a respect factor to the client, and it sets you apart from other restoration companies walking in there just ready to cut and gut.
Yeah,
you know, we try to set ourselves apart by non-invasive drying, by utilizing psychometrics, by utilizing all of our detail-oriented dictation of their pictures, our moisture maps, labor logs, who's been on site, when they get there, how long they've been there, and so on down the line. Our daily logs, what we expect to accomplish that day, is up on the wall, and we cross it off as we get it done. So the homeowner can see that we are a very well-oiled machine that works in a systematic way in order to get them back fast.
Yeah, so you're like asking more questions to gain more clarity on what's going on.
Yep.
And then you like document the situation so you have clarity, but it also eases their mind that you guys know what you're doing and you're going to keep them in the loop.
Yes, because what happens is I ask if we can inspect what the situation is. So we go do our inspections. I write my notes down. I sit down with the client. I explain the circumstances. You have this, 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 and this involved. No, this is not going to be, white noise. This is not going to be a train wreck either, though. This is something that you have to understand, and you definitely have to condition the homeowner to what the expectations are. Do not set an expectation that you're going to be Superman and come in there and tomorrow everything's going to be fixed. You have to set the expectation with the homeowner, and they like it when you're honest. You cannot tell these folks that you're going to be over said done and they're going to be back in their home, or they're going to be back not dealing with it, in 3 days. No. How long is this going to take? That's the biggest thing I get. How long is this going to take? Can't tell you the answer to that question. I can tell you I'm going to do my job and I'm going to do it right. And and generally, it'll take me 4 days. Then generally it'll take me 3 days. But there's circumstances that come up, and I'll make you aware of the situation as it goes. I work for you. I do not work for your insurance company. I work for you. You're my boss. If you don't like the way my socks are, tell me to kick rocks. It's up to you. If you don't want me to work for you, I don't want to work on this job site. And that's the key element, is if the client doesn't like you, the client doesn't have faith in you, then why are you there? Because you really have, their home, unless they've got a helicopter behind it, their home is their largest asset that they own. And you are now in control of managing that home back to its health and wealthy spot. So you have to get these folks, and sometimes you're at their home when they're not home. Sorry about that. Watchdogs. Sometimes you're generally, there when the homeowner's not home. So they have to go ahead and actually trust you with their whole home. That's a very big trust. That's a very big trust factor, because Mama Dukes might have something in her in her drawers that she doesn't want you to see. So you need to base that trust right away. And people are going to I minored in sociology. People are going to know if they trust you in 30 seconds or less. So you got 15 seconds on the phone, you got 30 seconds in person, and then let your work speak for the rest of the time.
Yeah. Another thing that you talked about is, like, you want to review the insurance policy there with them. Like, what do you want to accomplish when you review that?
I can't speak as a public adjuster. I can't do it, but I can point at their deductible and say, this is your deductible. 1, 2, I'm looking for an HO3 policy. I want to make sure that they're covered for their damages. Do they have a sudden and accidental overflow or discharge of water? Because that, to me, makes me understand I have 2 options. I can either say, okay, sir or ma'am, I'm not positive if you are covered or not covered for this policy, for this loss. So this is this is always a contract between me and you, not the insurance carrier. It's a contract between me and you. So if and so you are not, accepted through the insurance as a viable claim, you are responsible for the damages, and keep that in mind. But in turn, if I see that they're covered for sudden overflow discharge of steam, if I see that they have mold coverage and it's an HO3 policy, let's get on the phone with the insurance carrier right now, call it in together. I'll help you make that claim, and then we'll ask them for coverages. And that way we can ease your mind, because the biggest thing these people don't want is to get a bill from me for $9,000 when it's over. And I don't want to send them that bill. Because I don't think I'd get much repeat business from there. It's just not something that works that way. So you want to cover yourself, and you want to make sure that you cover your butt.
And I know another thing that's important in this industry is the homeowners want to make sure that you guys handle everything with insurance. They don't want to be the ones dealing with all that.
Right. And the best thing about it is, so do we. We want to do the best that we can to manage the mitigation side of it with the insurance carrier. We get a direct pay authorization signed by them, stating that we can speak on their behalf to go ahead and I apologize for that. To go ahead and make sure that we're able to speak on the behalf of the homeowner, because the insurance carrier is going to ask specific questions that the homeowner doesn't know. what was the cause of this loss? They don't know that it's a float, or it's a shower valve. They say, I don't know my shower. So by us helping them out through the process and getting that direct pay authorization and the rights to speak on their behalf to the insurance carrier, we can weed through a lot of the discrepancies that a lot of these adjusters have to deal with. Encompass Contracting Mitigation has taken a stance that we work for the insured, but we work with the insurance carrier. So we have everything ready for them, even including a sketch that they can utilize for the outside adjuster when they show up. We generally have our bill ready for them because we're generally dry by the time they show up anyway. But we generally have everything for them, so it makes their job a lot easier and smoother and easier to work with. Public adjuster or outside adjusters are not evil. They're not, they're not there to ride their broom home. They're there to just find out what's going on, and if we can share the information that's needed and help them, it helps our homeowner move along in a quick, timely fashion.
Yeah. And then another thing I know that you've talked about is you want to explain the equipment that's going to be needed so they know why it's important and why you charge so much money for all this.
Well, equipment's expensive. First off, you want to make sure that they understand the importance of the equipment. Low grade refrigerant, LGR or DHU. Okay, I know what a dehumidifier is, but I bought one at Home Depot for $69. Yeah, that's not exactly what it is. It's a different concept. AFD, air filtration device. This is going to help you breathe better air. This is very important. The dehumidifiers. I even explained to them in the science aspect if they have the capacity to understand it. Or I just tell them, hey, this pulls all the water out of the air. We put these blowers in to agitate the surface that we want to get the air out of. But it's imperative that we keep it running. It's imperative that you don't turn it off. It's imperative that you don't let your children go ahead and sit on it and play on it like it's a rocket ship, because it's a very expensive piece of equipment that's tuned to do exactly what it's supposed to do when it's supposed to do it. Then we tape down all lines. Taping down all the lines. That's one other thing that other mitigation companies forget to do or don't do. But it's a safety hazard. It's a safety. It shows that you're a professional and that you do care for the fact that you don't want people tripping over your stuff and pulling plugs. The other thing that we do on the back of our business card, says your emergency specialist is, your emergency contact phone number is. These are the professionals that will be contacting you, and it has a list of 3. And that could be possibly the rebuild company. That could possibly be a plumber, whoever that you want to refer business to get business back from, because you want to keep that circle going. And in turn at the end, and it says, if we do collect an equipment deposit, or if we collect a deductible at that time, we put on there that we've collected an equipment deposit of $500 or $1,000, and we send that into the insurance carrier so that the homeowner knows. The insurance knows that the homeowner is not trying to pull any punches, get away with anything, and they're putting their financial responsibility that they have up front right away. It's a benefit and a drawback. Some people push, some people don't. You don't push it, you let it run. But they have that business card, and that business card makes them feel real important, because they've got my number, they've got their technician's number. They know who to call, when to call, and how to call it, and not have to call Johnny or Bob or whoever it was. And who was that guy that was here helping us the other day? Because people are we're not going to make their lives very happy for the next couple of days. And we have to understand that. And we come back every day and do checks.
All right. Is there any other things that you want to accomplish before you leave their house?
Basically, again, you have to set the standard. You have to go ahead and really make sure that they understand what is going on and how it has to happen. You explain to them that there's a rebuild aspect. If my mitigation company doesn't do rebuild, so they expect us to fix it. No, I break it. That's what I do best. I break things, or I dry things. But I say, no, I'm the guy that breaks the stuff, dries the stuff, pulls the stuff, rips the stuff out, cuts the stuff perfectly, and then you have another company that comes behind, and then you leave them with their, with whatever phone numbers you'd like them to call based off the circumstances and the situation. Explain to them that they're going to get a phone call in 24 to 48 hours from their insurance adjuster. As soon as they do, let me know on it, and I'll be there right by their side to walk the adjuster through the loss and go through all pictures and elements for them so that they can get back to their everyday life. This is important. It's very important to let them know that you've got control and you understand the situation, and that they can sit back and deal with the heat and deal with this and deal with that while we take care of everything in the background. And communication is the key. So you want to make sure that by the time you leave there, that they are thanking you. And you always say, is there any questions that you might have that I have not answered at this time? Are you comfortable with where my equipment's positioned? Is that going to impede on your lifestyle in any specific capacity? I can try to reposition it. I can try to do something else, but let me know ahead of time if we have any special needs, which is very important. Do I have an 85-year-old? Do I have anybody with an AARP card in the home? That's how I generally ask it. Is there anybody with an AARP card in the home? Because that means they're seniors. We got to treat them with special care. But you want to make sure that they know that you're working your tail off for them, and you're going to do the best that you can to get this done and get them back to pre-loss condition as fast as possible.
All right.
And get the contract signed. Duh.
I don't know if I ever told you this, but before we ever got into this industry, a number of years ago, I had a 3-story lake house that it was a vacation place. I wasn't there that often, and it was on the market to sell. And when my agent went there, the air conditioner unit and the roof had been leaking water for I don't know how long. So it was
AC condensation drain line failure.
Yeah, massive. So there's 3 stories. It was went through 2 floors. It was just a massive disaster. And that was my first exposure to this industry. And I was so impressed with the quality and experience I had with the company I worked with. They handled everything. They were very well communicated throughout the whole process. They worked with my insurance company, and it was such a smooth experience that it left me with a great respect for this industry, or at least the guys that do it right, because that was a massive thing that I now had to deal with.
Sure. It sounds like I need to get in the marketing games rather than the restoration game. Lake house, come on, man, really? I mean, but it's so funny. You guys are the only. This is what's so important about what you do. You give people like myself and my company. I feel that our company is top notch. I'd put us up against anybody as far as the work, the craftsmanship, and the care for the client than anybody else in the industry. I would match my team with anybody. But the difference is there's a lot of those guys out there that don't do it the way that it should be done. Yeah. And you have given us, based off of your program and the way in which you've done things, you've given us the ability to continue to grow and keep that quality of service, because we know exactly how much we're spending on marketing nowadays. We know exactly how much every month that we're spending in order to get this many jobs, in order to get this much stuff. Now, of course, obviously, we still have our name. We still have our word of mouth. We still have our trade partners. We still get jobs from other sides. But I've reduced my cost for my sales reps. I've reduced my gas costs. I've reduced my wraps for my vehicles, my insurance, my vehicles, and so much down the line to where a smaller company like myself can still maintain that quality that you are talking about. And that's what we pride ourselves on. I know soon my before and after site's going to be up, and I think I shared with you yesterday some of the pictures of a before and after of one of our job sites, and we get accolades, from the carriers asking us to be preferred vendors, and I say no, but the point being is it's very, very fulfilling for us, and it helps us manage our business the right way with equipment. Buying new equipment, to know that I don't have to continue to pay $900 leads, $800 leads, $700 leads. How many jobs am I going to get? 15 jobs this month, and it's going to break me because I got to pay them within 24 hours and close the doors? No, I know that my budget is set, and if I want to expand and become larger, which obviously has to happen, but I just add more money. to my monthly budget. I mean, I think right now, with we just got 2 new jobs. I think I spoke to you about 2 commercial jobs. They're $40,000 jobs so I didn't want to give you that for the analytics, because then it just looks like we were just making fun of each other. I mean, it's like, really.
Well, we see about 10% or more of the jobs come through are high ticket, either commercial, like big 5-figure plus jobs.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, we're averaging, like I said, our jobs were averaging. Well, if the first month that I gave you that number on was 6, and we banked 36.6. So you're 6,000 and up. They're not small jobs. They really aren't. When someone's calling you, and we get those weed throughs, that have nothing to do with us, or a hang up or 2 here and there. But the jobs that don't have anything to do with us, I flip to, wait, but I can help you with this. Let me put you in touch with this person. And I put them in touch with that person, give them that lead. And then now they owe me a job. So there's also that category that we haven't really touched on. But if you're quick enough, it's called shifting. Shift the lead to somebody else that can use it and get one back from them. Don't ever let a lead that you're paying for, and that's one of a specific amount of numbers. Don't ever let a lead go unless you work it to the bone.
Yeah, that's a great point that we forgot to cover, is even if you can't help them yourself, you're seeing how you could refer them to somebody else that can help them, because
and in return,
goodwill in your company.
Exactly. And they say, wow, you're taking the time out to do it. Don't worry about it. I'll meet them out there. I mean, I just did it yesterday, actually, for a lady that I can't help because it's stupid, whatever it may be. But I eventually will get her job. By the way, she ends up being the HOA president of a $1 million house, a network, and she's like, wow, you're the first honest guy that says, let's get the problem solved first, and then we'll start working on the other stuff. There's no reason for me to drop equipment in here now because we don't know what the problems are. So I can charge you this money and I can charge this for you, and this is not an insurance claim. It's coming out of your pocket. Let's get the problem fixed, then call me back. But let me get the right people in here to try to fix it for you. Yeah. And I went back out, and her name is Jackie. I think you can look it up on I feel like your big brother sometimes, Hey Matt, shouldn't have said that on the phone. No, but Miss Jackie was very, very, very complimenting to us about the fact that we ended up meeting the contractor out there that she needed, because I went out and took a look at the problem as an expert, and in turn went ahead and put the right people in place for her, so she didn't have to worry about it. But she immediately felt comfortable with us.
And then you're creating business for your referral partners as well.
Exactly. And it comes back in the end, one way or the other, monetarily or by leads.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, Matt, for doing this interview. I know our other clients will get a lot out of it, on how they can increase and improve their ability to convert the calls into jobs and revenue for their business.
Well, it's, Kevin, like I said, I have no problems, no problems helping out in any way I can, whether it be talking with some of your clients or helping out whatever I can. I really appreciate what you and Jeff have done for my company, and I'd love to return it.
All right. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.